Thanks everyone for joining. This is a historic meeting because it's the first town hall, first internal meeting that we have ever had since we've become a multi-country, multinational nonprofit. So this is very exciting. And what we have to talk about is very exciting today. And I'm going to immediately transfer it over to Kim Witten, who is the Chief Operating Officer of Innovations for Learning US, who will begin the presentation. It's all yours, Kim.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. You're going to be learning about a new direction that Innovations for Learning is moving in today. And so I want to kind of take a few minutes and talk about why we have chosen this point in time to move in this direction and to rebrand the company. And the first and foremost reason is that our impact is growing. In the last year alone, the United States has seen 340% growth in the number of students that we're serving, with over 25,000 receiving both high impact and online reading support, with 82 corporate and foundation partners in the company or in the country. In the UK, they are now supporting 2,100 students with online reading support, which represents 38% growth over last year, and a pretty astonishing 45% growth in their corporate partners from last year to this year, now having with 102 corporate partners supporting the organization. And in Canada, we are now serving 1,200 students in some of the remotest areas of the country, serving Indigenous students on reserve. That represents 100% growth over last year. And also, equally astounding and impressive, is a 50% growth in corporate partners, up from 20 last year to 30 this year. So we are, over the last 3 years, we've really experienced consistent growth across the entire organization, as globally, the pandemic has really exacerbated and shined a spotlight on literacy challenges for us, both new and long-term. And so, in addition to that, our organization in 2021 earned a Tier 1 rating from a nationally recognized group of researchers out of Johns Hopkins University called Evidence for ESSA. This research really put us on the map in the United States. It was the result of a 2-year study that was actually disrupted in March of the second year because of COVID. But the students in the treatment group realized 164% growth in reading compared to 42% in the control group. And this year, we will be publishing very soon. You will see on our new website, our latest research, which will soon be published on the National Student Support Accelerator, which is a website sponsored by the Annenberg Institute along with Stanford University. And a group of researchers there participating in our 4-year long-term study in Broward County. It's one of the largest randomized controlled trial studies in the country on high impact tutoring. And at the end of the first year, students in the treatment group receiving high impact tutoring from IFL, 68% of them met the end of year benchmark for kindergarten, compared to 32% in the control group. And so these results not only validate our work, but clearly show the impact that 1 year of high impact tutoring can have in a child's first year in school. So in addition to the growth in numbers and students served, our impact on their early literacy skills is now firmly established, and we're bringing literacy to even more students at the time that they need it most. And so with that, now is the time, it's the perfect time. For 30 years, we have been refining our model. Unfortunately, our name has very little brand recognition in the United States. And among our corporate partners, TutorMate actually holds more brand recognition, but it's also not unique to us. So this is the perfect time for us to really make the decision to move to a new look and feel for the organization, and to align that new look and feel with who we are and the work that we're doing. And that is consistent with our mission of transforming children's futures with one-to-one reading support at the time that they need it most. We've tightened it up, but the message is the same. We're helping get students reading at grade level proficiency in their early years in their educational journey. With that, The other component that is consistent in our organization is the heart of our organization, which is and always has been our people. And so to a person across the organization, our commitment is to the one-on-one connection that we're making with students, both in the high impact and in online supported reading, not only in teaching reading skills, but in motivating and instilling the love of reading for lifelong learning. And so today we're introducing ourselves to you all as Chapter 1 because it all starts with literacy. And today you're going to hear about our new look and feel, what that looks like, brand assets, brand guidelines, and assets that are available for your use, as well as what this means for you. And so without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Fabrice Grover, our Executive Director of Canada.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Kim. Nice to see so many people on this call. We thought it would be helpful for you to see a preview of our new website, which will go live on February 6th. So you're getting to see the very late beta, and the final version, as I mentioned, will just a few days away. This is going to be customized for every country. So we're still finalizing the tiny details here on each country's page, but basically using IP logic and geolocation information, it'll figure out where you are in the world and feed you the page that corresponds to your country. However, you can also drop down here and see the other country pages. So if you work for a company that wants to sponsor our initiative globally, you can see what we're doing in the different countries. And if you're an educator or a parent and you're curious, you can access these other pages. That said, we all share the same mission, obviously the same vision, and our programs are similar in that we're offering, high impact tutoring, online reading volunteers, and we all share this global free library and contribute to it. So I'll show you the library in a moment, but I just wanted you to see the site, understanding that the statistics will be different for each country, and some stats are global and some stats are regional. And then you can navigate here, and this will all be live again on Monday. But when you navigate to the different pages, you'll be able to see different videos that show the program in action in each country. And same goes for the online reading volunteer program here, again, customized for each country's implementation. Now, if we switch over to the Global Free Library, which you will be able to access from this menu, but is also sort of standalone, it's on its own subdomain. It'll be library.chapter1.org. You'll end up here. And what's very cool is you're then greeted with a collection of books that celebrate the world's diversity. And depending on what you're interested in, you can switch to collections here and choose from one of the categories that we have created. So these are all original books that we have created with the communities that we serve. And we've hired local artists and writers and illustrators to create this content. One of the really cool things that we have now integrated here is, well, there are a couple of things that are super cool. But if I just open one of these books, so these I've filtered by Indigenous and First Nation stories. So you can see the 14 books we created last year. We have another 19 in development in Canada this year. And if I come back, let's say we just wanted to open one of these books. Let's pick Lisa Ojig, world famous hoop dancer, which is based on somebody in one of the communities that we serve here. You can see that there is a video bio of the illustrator and of the author. So we thought that it would be important to have video testimonials from the people who are actually involved in this, so that it feels more personal. Again, with the concept of Chapter 1, it being a very one-to-one experience, we want to see who's behind these stories and who's writing them. So you can just click the video, and then you can make it full screen. It's quite immersive.
So my name is Chief Ladybird. I come from both Rama First
Nation. So you can see that she's introduced herself. You can actually see the book that she's working on in the background. And then if you keep scrolling down, you can see other books by the same writer. In this case, the illustrator has only done one book for us. However, she is redoing our homepage illustration to give an Indigenous spin on that. And if you read the book, you then get into this very cool interface where you can actually, and I've got to just hide you all so I can see the interface, you can actually click on words that appear in the language of the community. So in Canada, we're very involved in advancing reconciliation and the community's efforts for language revitalization. So if I don't know how to pronounce a word in here because it's in another language, I just hit play. And what do you know? Me as a middle-aged white settler can actually interact with a child who's probably more proficient in this language than I am. And it gives me a very meaningful way to connect with that child and perhaps for them to show off a bit and tell me what they know about their culture and for me to express interest in that. That's also a way for me to, teach other non-Indigenous people, interact with them on, learning some of the original words from the communities that surround us. There's hundreds of communities in Canada that we're doing this with, and we're going to be creating the stories in multiple languages. So that's the library. I encourage you to share this with folks because it's an amazing collection and we have a lot more stories coming. I want to just end with a brief overview of the visual design language. So let me just make this full screen, taking a moment just to look at the logo again. So as you saw from the illustration that Kim shared with you, this represents the pages of a book opening to the first chapter. To me, it also looks like the rays of a sun, perhaps as drawn by a child, or a sun cresting over a mountain. It's a personal thing. Everybody will react differently to the logo, but the important thing is for you to internalize it and be able to explain it in your own words, what it means to you. You can see that we have this scaling concept here with the It All Starts With Literacy, which is a visual representation of the impact that our organization has at scale. As Kim mentioned, we are designing scalable solutions. These are solutions that are cost effective and therefore can be replicated and scaled greatly. And we're seeing the evidence that that's actually working. And then I also wanted to draw your attention to these lockups with the service names. So we are doing away with the TutorMate name and the competing logos of Innovations for Learning and TutorMate. And we are now going with what's called a master brand. So the chapter 1 is the master brand, and then descriptive names for our different programs. So instead of referring to TutorMate, you would refer to the chapter 1 online reading volunteers, chapter 1 high impact tutoring, and the chapter 1 global free library. And then you can see how this starts to look on our social media pages here on the phone, and in sort of real world use and on a lanyard and a badge here. The social media pages will go live over the weekend, and you'll be able to see all of that live on Monday. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my counterpart in the UK, Emma Bell, who is the Executive Director of Chapter 1 in the UK. And as many of you, I think it's going to take us all a while to rewire our brains to this new reality and to saying that we're part of an organization that's called Chapter 1. Emma, do you want to take it away?
Perfect. So thank you, everyone. I'm Emma, as Fabrice said, the Executive Director of Chapter 1 in the UK. So great to see, I think, pushing 80 of you on the call today. So I'm just going to do, finish off. You've heard Kim talking eloquently about the rationale for this change and the reasons why we are doing this, and indeed the way the organisation has grown and expanded in recent years. You've seen through that fantastic array of screens that Fabrice just showed us what this is going to look like. And I imagine you're thinking to yourself, what does this mean for me? So what's the difference going to, be in my working life over the next few days and week, particularly as we transition to our new name and our new brand? So the first thing to remember is that this will require a little bit of a change in all of our mindsets. So we are going to be embracing a new visual identity, but we're also embracing a new name. And that will mean a new set of language in the way that we talk about our work, both internally and externally. So that does mean that we're going to have to be disciplined about not referring anymore to Innovations for Learning or TeacherMate or TutorMate. As Fabrice said, we're going with the name Chapter 1, and we are making sure that our programs are referred to as the Chapter 1 High Impact Tutoring Program, the Chapter 1 Online Reading Volunteer Program. So tutors therefore become volunteers. We do away with calling our online readers tutors. And this will mean that you need to just spend a little bit of time in the next week or so just rehearsing that language. Remember that you're going to need to change emails that you send, use different language in those emails as well. So take a little bit of time to think that through in terms of what it means for your own work. When D-Day comes, on February the 6th, Brian and the development team have been working extremely hard in the background. we'll be making sure that the process of transition is as seamless as possible. So tutormate.org, which is where we're used to going, where we're logging on at the moment, will be replaced by app.chapter1.org. So that's where we will all go to log on to the applications that we use in our work, into Central Station if we use that as well. And everyone will have a new email address. So your existing email will be replaced just at the end with chapter1.org instead of innovationsforlearning.org. All your passwords, however, will stay the same. So don't worry about writing any of this down. We will be sending you across the world, the different organizations will be ensuring that everyone has full instructions and FAQ documents to help answer some of the practical questions that you might have. But rest assured that we're going to try and make this transition as seamless as possible for you. For those of you who are working with other individuals, so you're working in the classroom because you're working with students in the ELI program, or you're working with online reading volunteers where there are class devices that teachers access, we're going to try and make sure that those are auto logged into the new platform so that our users can make also a transition as seamlessly as possible. And there is a whole raft of external communication going out to all of these audiences and these stakeholders over the next weeks so that people are as prepared as they can be for what the change means for them on February the 6th. So rest assured that when this does happen on D-Day on February the 6th, we will be able to support the development team led by Brian and also the chat team in our various countries will be available to kind of help out if people have questions on the day. There will be, as I say, internal communication, so FAQ documents, login instructions, those external crucial people for us, teachers, volunteers will get instructions themselves about how to access the new platform. But if you have questions, and you may well do as a result of this whistle-stop tour through the transition, then do please note that these are the people that you should be reaching out to in your respective countries. If you're in the UK and you're part of my team, you'll know Becky already, and the other names should be familiar to you depending on where you're working with us. So as my kind of final reminders for this question of your new mindset, watch out for those emails, read the frequently asked questions document. Don't be afraid to ask questions of your own if there's something missing that you need to know. Tour our website. You've seen, as Fabrice showed you, how fantastic it looks. It was only a very brief tour that you got, and you probably didn't have a chance to take it all in. So make some time on February the 6th to go through it, to familiarize yourself, to get excited about it. Familiarize yourself, please, with the why we're doing this. Your excitement, your enthusiasm for our new name will be infectious. So as Kim said, our essential mission is unchanged, but we're talking about it now in a slightly different way. We've tightened our language, and you should familiarize yourself with that language so that you can explain it to other people. And again, discuss any questions that you have with your manager or someone in the central team. So last but not least, I just wanted to kind of finish really with reminding you that even though we're making this change, as an organization globally, in our 3 corners of the world, we're doing slightly different things, but our formula for transformation is really unchanged. We have always emphasized, and will always will, at the heart of our programs is that we have one caring adult, and we're doing this one child at a time. We're helping thousands of children with our work to create that very first chapter of the success story of their life. And as it says on this slide, like all good books with chapter 1, the best is yet to come. So we're very proud to have all of you with us today, very proud to have all of you working for the organization globally. Here's to the next chapter and a future with our brand new name and visual identity. So Seth, I'll hand back to you in case you want to say a final few words before we close.
That's great. Thank you very much. And I really just want to say thank you to everyone who has worked so hard for this project. It's taken a village to raise a new website, and everyone has worked incredibly hard. And I want to particularly mention Kathy Galeota, who's the head of content for now Chapter 1. She has led this project, and she has kept all of us on a very tight timetable and allowed us to really complete this on time, and it's all been beautifully executed. So thanks to everyone. I hope we can do these kinds of internal town halls again. They're important that we be able to get to see each other and talk together. And I look forward to the next chapters of our organization.